Hello, I'm Jacob Giaimo, and you're listening to Rock at Night.
Are you ready? Hey, tonight I'm gonna take you on a little trip. We're going down south by the mighty Mississippi. I'm gonna take you to a place where lights never dim. Bring your mother, your brother, and your best friend. I'm gonna show you where they dance out in the street. They'll tell you all about your body heat. I'm not gonna talk about it, just gonna do it. Get on down if you feel up good. Get on down.
This is Charisse with Rock at Night magazine, and today we are here speaking with Jacob Giaimo. We've reviewed his work in the past. Maybe you heard Sun Support, and he just came out with another song in January called Before Long. So we want to get to meet him and get to know him. Hi, Jacob.
Hello, how are you?
How's it going in California?
It's going really well, thanks.
All right. Sun Support. Very Jack Johnson like, very acoustic. I get this image of the sea. What inspired that?
Yeah, so thanks for saying that. I think I love Jack Johnson.
I
So
do too. I adore him.
yeah, I actually wrote that right at the beginning of the pandemic, weirdly enough, because it is a happy song. But I think I went home to Orlando for a bit. So I was like kind of spending time with my family and I was happy. I was happy to be home with them for a couple months, and we're spending some time in the sun, and I was listening to a lot of like Bob Marley at the time. And I kind of was like inspired by writing some kind of like fun in the sun type of song. And obviously I play acoustic guitar, and I think it kind of came out and manifested itself, or ended up being something like a Jack Johnson kind of track. So when I wrote it, it was kind of a quick write, because I think a lot of, singles kind of turn out to be that. They just kind of just write themselves in a way. I don't really know why that is, but yeah, it was a fast writing process, and I knew it was going to be a single when I finished it. I loved it. So
Yeah,
liking it
it
too.
definitely fits into Florida, California, Hawaii. It fits into like a summer mood,
Yeah.
which is pretty uplifting. It's funny, during the pandemic, a lot of people wrote uplifting songs.
Yeah, I think maybe it was just like maybe a medicine at the time. I think I needed to write it in a way just to get something like happy going. You know what I mean? But yeah, I love that song.
Something optimistic, basically. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
absolutely.
your latest song, Before Long, let's talk about that. I
Yeah.
noticed you put it under alt rock.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would call it alt rock. What
I
would
don't know
you
if I
call it? What would
I don't really know. Like a lot of people, not a lot of people, but like people will ask me like what genre my music is, and I kind of never really know what to say, because it's kind of folky, it's kind of rock. It has
like
a little,
John Mayer,
yeah, maybe,
kind of
yeah, maybe that's
acoustic driven.
definitely that's a big inspiration for me when I was young, John Mayer, and hearing his music, um, and yeah. So I wouldn't know. I
Jason
don't know if I call it
Mraz,
alt rock. I would
kind of.
call it maybe like a soft rock. Not, yeah, don't know. It's kind of a tough one to put your finger on.
I think that's what I would call it too, soft rock. It's funny, all this acoustic driven stuff. I don't know if you know Donovan Frankenreiter. It kind of makes me think of his music a little bit too. Mumford and Sons, but
Yeah,
without all the banjos.
yeah, definitely. I love both of them.
I do too. What inspired Before Long?
Before Long was inspired by a breakup I had had. So it was kind of me, like, I don't know. I think a lot of music writing is therapeutic in a way. So I was kind of going through a bit of a difficult period, and writing music has always been like such an outlet for not only me, but all people who write music, to be honest, because it allows me to like get stuff I can't really comprehend in my head, and then in song form, and then as soon as it's out, you're like, or at least as soon as it's finished being written, I'm like, oh God, it's almost like you're conscience like speaking to you and
it's
really,
cathartic for you. It's like a release.
exactly. So yeah, it was a little bit about like how this the gist of the song is basically I had a very fortunate upbringing. I like had an amazing family. I think a lot of people like a comeback story, but I had a bit of a nice like youth, I suppose. So I think when I got into, such a serious relationship, and relationships can be amazing, they could also be really hard at times. And I think during some of the harder moments, I think maybe because I was never really exposed to true difficult situations, I didn't really know how to handle them. Like in when I finally got to one, you know what I mean? So I think that's what the song is about, is me kind of realizing, hey, you have a bit of like this tendency to flee in difficult moments, and you need to realize that that's a real thing and you need to maybe work on it, sort of thing. So that's what the song is about.
I think a lot of that comes with maturity. When you're younger, your family is usually there, but when you're out on your own, you have to stand on your own 2 feet and handle adversity.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's really just a coming of age type of thing. I think we all go through it at one point or another. And it's really important to go through it, I think, as well, because it's a growing thing, and I think I'm a much better person after it. So it's positive in that way.
They always say when one door closes, one opens. So try to
Exactly.
look at
Yeah,
it as a positive way. When you think about it, a lot of songs are about love, getting together, breaking up relationships. That's what life is about.
yeah. I think the older you get as well, yeah, I think you realize love is like probably the most important thing
Mhm.
on the planet. So you kind of want to figure it out. And just writing music makes me, I feel like, figure things out a little bit easier than just, I don't know, thinking it out in my head. So
Now,
yeah.
your songs are acoustic driven. Do you play the electric guitar too, or you just like to stick to the acoustic?
I play electric as well. I have always written on my acoustic guitar. I was self-taught, so I never really learned a lot of like musical theory, and a lot of electric guitar playing is like not necessarily just solos, but I think you need to have a lot of background knowledge to really crush at like playing electric guitar.
Mhm.
Whereas like I was like just like on YouTube learning the G, C, kind of thing. And I think that just stuck. And I kind of learned a lot of songs I liked in just the basic acoustic way. And then I got really good at playing acoustic guitar. I'm a good guitarist, but I'm not like someone who like shreds an electric guitar much. Yeah.
Yeah, acoustic is rhythm,
Right.
and you have a good voice, so you're basically giving it a background, to let your voice shine. I
Yeah, I
like
agree.
it.
Thank
I
you so much.
noticed. I noticed you use a Martin too.
I do use a Martin. Yeah, it's right over there. Actually, yeah, it's staring at me. I've always, not always, but I remember just falling in love with like Ed Sheeran in like a period
Mhm.
of time, and he always had this like little Martin guitar, and I was like, damn, I just loved the shape of it. So I got one, and then I've had like five since. I just love them. They're amazing.
I think he has a model out. It's like a 3/4 size model of a
Yeah,
guitar because he used to do busking on the street, and
right.
it's easier to carry a smaller guitar.
That, that was like it was probably 10 years ago or something when he first got popular. I noticed him having that little guitar and just wanted to be like Ed. I don't know.
Well, speaking of Ed, I saw that you spent some time in the UK.
Yeah. So when I first went to college, I did my first semester in London, which was really important for my development musically, I think, because it allowed me to get away from everyone I knew beforehand. And I was a little bit of a late bloomer. Like I was very shy about being a musician. I thought maybe my friends might think it's a little lame that I was like, I love to sing and kind of thing. So I was a little bit in my shell about it for a long time. And then I went to London and I was like, well, no one knows me here. And it's just a really awesome city. And I think a lot of writers, authors, musicians find it easy to write there because it's like a really historical and beautiful city, and it's very like arts driven there.
Well, there's
So
a ton of venues.
Yeah, I see your British flag in the back as well. Sorry for.
Yeah, I go there once or twice a year.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, it's the best. It's probably my favorite. I live in LA, but it's
Mhm.
my favorite city in the world.
Me
Yeah.
too. I feel it's the center of the universe. Everything moves through there economically, culturally. It's just the center.
I absolutely agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a special place.
Now, I guess you studied academically, obviously not well, not obviously, but you didn't study music, and
No.
you have your day job like most of people do.
Right.
When did you really start taking music seriously, where you could possibly really develop a career out of it, a second
Yeah,
career even?
yeah, totally. I think it was very shortly after I got back from London. It was like early in college. I had a friend that I knew. Well, basically, when I got back, I was like, I want to start playing gigs. Like, I love performing, and I'm starting to really care about music, and basically all I think about all day, kind of thing. I had a friend that was a bar manager, and he was like, "Yeah, you can come and play like one night and just see how you do and see if you like it." And from then on, I was like, I've always maybe had a bug for performing. Um, it's just an amazing feeling. And once I did it once, I was like, yeah, I never want to not do that. So that's and I started writing my own songs as well, so I could perform them. And yeah, from then on, early in college, I was like, I want this to be my life. Yeah, and obviously, I have like my day job and everything.
We all
But
do.
yeah, exactly. But music is like it just drives my life. I'm obsessed with it, and in a good way, because it's like it. I get like a child. It's like a childlike feeling when like it's like that love, and you're just like so giddy to do it every time you do it. So it's just yeah, it's a nice feeling.
I see that you've been playing at the Viper Room and different gigs around California. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so maybe when I first got to LA, it was a bit of a eye-opening experience because I was playing, college bars and then LA is a very different music scene compared to really anywhere because it's got, big music venues that were, I suppose, at their heights maybe
Mhm.
30 years ago, like at the beginning of the 90s, I mean
Mhm.
late 80s kind of thing, really driven by rock and roll. And I love rock and roll.
Me too.
And when I moved to LA, I was like, it's obviously I knew about the Viper Room, I knew about the Whiskey a Go Go,
Troubadour.
yeah, Troubadour. These are
Yeah.
iconic
I mean,
places.
those places were big in the 60s. A lot of
Yeah,
iconic
especially
legends
yeah,
played at these venues. So, yeah.
yeah, and that was like a dream. Even before I lived in LA, I was like, oh, it'd be amazing to play at these venues, and eventually got my work my way into. I played the Whiskey first, and then as you're like you're on the gig circuit more and more, you get more and more opportunity, and people start to give you offers to play and
Mhm.
stuff, and then I got in a band because I was doing a lot of solo work for the first like year and a half, 2 years I was in LA, and eventually I met this booking agent that was like, listen, if you're amazing solo, but if you want to like generate great excitement around your gigs and everything, it'd be awesome if you had a band. And that was great advice because it has really in the last like year changed my life in terms of the gigs. They're much more upbeat than they were because we're
Mhm.
a unit kind of thing now, and yeah, so I've been playing those venues, and it's like I said, a dream come true. They're amazing, and I have a good support system behind me that is there for me for my shows as well, so it's amazing.
That was my next question, because it seems, well, you're a solo artist, yet your singles all have a band, obviously percussion and etc. So you have a regular set of people that work with you when you go out to gigs.
Yeah, it's kind of been constantly changing since I was for like since my first music I released ever. But yeah, I have a solid group of three guys that play, not including me, that play every show with me now, and they're like my little brothers, my best friends. They
Oh,
all went to USC music school and stuff. So they're genius musicians. They're all like, they just know everything about music. So I'm learning. They're younger than me, but I'm learning off them, and we have a really nice dynamic. I care a lot about them, and I think that's the best part about being in a band is like when you're sometimes you could be on stage and you're like, I don't know if I'm doing my best, but you have like three guys that have your back and
It's support.
elevate you. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
And speaking of support, maybe you guys would consider touring or going with another band as support, possibly. Is that an option?
It hasn't been an option yet, but I mean, yeah, I would love to do that. You know what I mean? That's sort of the dream. I think if you want to be a musician, you have to start. If you want to be a successful musician,
Mhm.
you need to tour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get in other places. And you know, the good thing about LA is it's such a big place that like
Mhm.
when you play venues like this, you're kind of exposing yourself to a lot more people than I would be doing exactly like if I was still in my hometown or something like that. So that's really nice. But yeah, to tour would be to it would be really special, and hopefully that does come. And yeah, that's all I got to say about it, I
It's
guess.
always a dilemma because I talk to musicians all the time, and most of them have day jobs and they would love to tour and stuff. They have to take a couple weeks off for vacation. You kind of
Yeah,
have to work around your other life. It's like leading a double life, basically.
yeah, absolutely. I do feel like that sometimes, but it's it's okay. I kind of enjoy it. You know, to be honest, when I first moved here, I was only doing music.
Mhm.
And I found it very hard to be creative 24/7.
Mhm.
I think having a day job kind of grounded me. And then after I was done with it, it allowed me to like relax by playing music. And I think I appreciated being able to play more. So
I think it gives you a good work ethic too.
absolutely.
Professionalism, because I've noticed working with a lot of bands, those that have quote day jobs, they're punctual, they're they have a
Yeah.
lot of good work ethics, they're dependable, they write thank you notes. You know what I mean? There's just certain things
Yeah.
that you do when you're in, let's say, a corporate environment or whatever, that kind of train you. Those are the ones I feel that could become more successful because
Yeah. I agree.
you know what I mean? It's just
It goes a
knowing
long way.
the
Like
culture.
it goes a long way being professional
Mhm.
and having something to do during the day where you're dependent on and you need to be on time and everything like that. It's a great life lesson, and it really helps in music because I think a lot of I don't know, maybe it could be like a stereotype that musicians maybe aren't so punctual, aren't so responsible, aren't, you know what I mean? And when you,
The stereotypes are kind of true, I hate to say,
yeah,
but
I
from
know,
what
I
I've
was like,
seen.
it's like I don't know if I want to say it, but yeah, it is kind of true. And I think if you could show that
Mhm.
you're a great musician, but you're also reliable is important.
And geez, I don't even know if I should talk about this, but most of the musicians that I see that have day jobs are clean. You know,
Yeah,
they don't do any substances, which kind of affect the music.
yeah, no, yeah, like I think when I was younger, like I enjoyed like smoking weed and stuff, and I was like, this is so good for my writing. It so wasn't. Like I don't know what I mean. Like I
I
think
like
now that
coffee myself, caffeine.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And I think now that I'm not into that stuff, it's like, oh my God, my writing is so much, I don't know, better.
Any chance of you coming to Florida to visit and maybe doing some gigs?
Absolutely, yeah. Florida is I still have great relationships in Florida, especially with venues and stuff. So when I do come home, I'm usually like asked to play, which is a really nice thing. I that was actually it was hard for me to leave that because I had such a uh what's the word? Like
Like
I
low
don't know.
self-esteem, like you couldn't believe it, you know,
Yeah,
that
yeah, no,
type of thing.
it was like people wanted me to play, whereas I
Right.
moved, and they were like, who are you?" kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And you have to build that back up, which is why I moved here. It's a good place to be musically and everything. But yeah, so I would love to, yeah, to
Mhm.
answer your question. Yes.
It's funny about family and friends. They see you in a whole different light. You know what I mean? It's different for
Yeah.
them to take you seriously, and that's why even I play music too. Playing in front of friends and family, I'm totally self-conscious. I don't know, it's difficult.
What do you play?
Like, oh, guitar, piano, I have a drum kit, I have all sorts. I have like a whole music room of instruments.
Oh my God, that's amazing. You're definitely.
Yeah, but well, this isn't about me, it's about you. But I'll say I spend most of my time doing writing and journalism and photography, and I'd rather be playing because, like you said, it's therapeutic.
Yeah.
I think music is an antidepressant, a natural one, and I look at COVID. It
Pretty
got
special.
people through.
Yeah. And I mean, you're still doing creative things. Journalism's
It's
um
still music, but
yeah,
there's nothing like playing. You know that.
I agree.
Yeah. Uh, being out in California, you probably meet a ton of musicians, don't you?
Oh
Um,
my God.
I would
Yeah.
think. Are
Yeah,
there
a lot.
enough venues for everybody to play?
I I would say no.
Mm,
I would say that there's probably five or six that I
mm,
circle around, and they're amazing. I don't want this to sound like I don't love the venues that we have here
mm,
because they're amazing and they have a rich history, especially in the genre of music that I first fell in love with as a child and what inspired me to be. But I would say that Los Angeles doesn't seem to have such like it's a lot of stuff is pay to play, which
mm.
is fine. You
I noticed that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I think maybe, and I haven't really lived anywhere else, but for example, I would assume like Nashville or something
Mm,
is like really supports local musicians,
mm,
whereas like LA is I don't know why. It just seems to be like there's a handful of like great venues, and I think they know that. So like they're just like we have a lot of people that want to play here, and that's kind of the
It's
culture.
funny you mentioned Nashville. That's becoming like the center for music and stuff. But I see it almost like New York City, where every waiter and waitress in a restaurant is a musician. Everybody
Exactly.
goes there to become famous or hope to become famous.
Sure.
It's saturated.
Yeah, and I would say every waiter and waitress here is an
A
actor.
music, an actor.
Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. People
I,
pursue their dream. Yeah.
yeah, and I think maybe LA is a little bit more set up for acting and like people
Mm,
who are actors and in TV and film and everything, which is awesome. Um, but it's all like I'm not complaining. I love living in Los Angeles. It's an amazing city, and also these venues that like have me, I'm extremely grateful, and they're so nice to me. Like everyone at the venues is starting to know who I am. They get
mm,
excited for my sets, and that's like all I've ever wanted. I think when I first did move here, you kind of have this idea. You're like, I am gonna be famous, kind of thing. Like just gonna be famous. There's no one that's gonna be like me there,
yeah.
but there is so many that kind of thing, and you kind of quickly grow up, and you're
Mm.
like, okay, I need to. I am good, and I have talent, and my band is amazing and everything, but you know, you have to work really hard, and that was like, I'm glad I picked up on that fast because it's really helped me.
Hey, do they allow busking over there in California? Are you allowed to just set up your gear on a corner? And I don't know how it is.
I don't really know because you see some people. I thought you needed a permit, but you see some people. I don't think you have a permit, like doing kind of thing. And so it just I don't know. I don't know actually the rules, but I like love to busk. Like I think that is such a fun thing, and it's honestly like I'd make more money doing that than playing like a venue, I suppose. It just depends on how many tickets you sell, I suppose. But yeah, not really sure what the busking deal is.
Yeah, I mean, because in New York City, that you see it a lot, and that's a major city. Of course, in London, in the
Oh,
subways, you see people, fantastic musicians
oh my
in the
gosh.
subway, and with their little cup out. But the thing is, the music is wonderful. And I just wondered if they allowed it or not.
You don't see it often. It's not like,
Yeah.
New York and London, you have the tube and the subway and everything.
Mhm.
So uh and you just have a lot of people walking. Like LA, you
Yes. Well, you
just
don't,
walk.
the public transportation is so good.
Yeah,
You don't need a
exactly.
vehicle
Yeah, and I'm
there.
sure it's the same in Chicago kind of thing. Wherever there's really good public transport and there's a lot of people on the streets walking, that's where busking really flourishes.
Mhm.
LA, everyone's in their car and it's just very spread out. And I think that's what
Mhm.
makes it obviously less live performers on the street.
So here we are in the beginning of 2023. What are your plans for the year? Do you have any?
Yeah, I have, I definitely have goals. It's one of those things. I released an album a couple months ago, and since then, I'm always writing,
Mhm.
but it's a little bit of like you close a book on a subject matter that was like a big one in your life,
Mhm.
and then I find myself kind of like not putting pressure on myself, but I'm a little bit like, okay, well, I need to start writing something that's really interesting again. But it's only been 2 months.
Mhm.
And like you can only live so much in that span of time. And I think that's where I'm at right now, is I'm kind of
Mhm.
just in a transitional period where I'm writing all the time. It's
Mhm.
not like something I stop, but I'm really like kind of in the search for, hey, what is like this next story gonna be?
Mhm.
So, and then just continuing to gig. I've been trying to do new venues and really just expand on
Sounds
that.
like most of your writing is autobiographical.
Yeah, I would say so. But it's funny you say that because I was just thinking the other day, like I I think one of my strengths is my imagination,
Mhm.
and I really like have always been someone who like uses it. But for whatever reason, I find it very easy to just write about me.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Where
sure if you're experiencing something, somebody else has too.
exactly, and I think that's a lot of the music I fell in love with was like that because it was like, hey, I saw this girl in the hall and gave me butterflies, something, and I'm like, I know a girl in the hall, and kind of just like relate to it, kind of thing, and I think that's what drove me to become or just to write a lot of music that was like that, and so I've
Mhm.
gotten really good at that, and I think that now it's maybe time for me to start exercising another side of it. You know what I mean? And a new way of approaching music writing, and maybe being a bit more open about it.
Well, now that you have a band, do they contribute or do you guys kind of work together?
Not so much on writing. Like we'll
Mhm.
jam together and stuff, and that does
Mhm.
help because because I love yeah, I write all the time. So when we go to rehearsal and stuff, we'll jam for a bit. I'll record the rehearsal, like because I like to listen back and be like, my guitarist did something on guitar that I would have never done, and so it kind of opens doors of, oh well, I'm would maybe take a song in that direction. So it really helps me. It's not that I wouldn't want to write with them. I would
Mhm.
love to. I'm just not so sure that they write. You know what I mean? They're kind of just amazing musicians, and I'm not saying that they don't write. I just we haven't like sat down
Yeah,
and talked.
not everybody does. Some people are better at playing other people's music. I guess a lot of people do covers. They do them exactly like they were written. Do you do covers or is everything original?
Yeah, we do covers. With just for example, like the Viper Room, we'll get like a 35-minute set. So we'll probably play 7 songs, and then we'll probably play 2 covers out
Mhm.
of those 7. Just I find covers kind of important
I think
sometimes.
so. Their familiarity to people, you know?
Yeah, and honestly, when I'm watching a band, maybe like if I go to a really like Mumford and Sons or something, I've been to a Mumford. I wouldn't want to see Mumford and Sons do like a cover. I don't know. I'd be like, here for you, like kind of thing. But for me, I'm not on Mumford and Sons level, so like it's nice, I think, for the crowd to feel involved. That is like the big thing for
Just
me.
sing along and they already know the lyrics if it's a cover.
Exactly. And it's just such an important thing for me. I have so much gigging experience now, and the best gigs are the ones where the crowd are having fun and feel like they're a part of it because everyone wants to have the spotlight on them. Humans naturally want to talk about themselves, to kind of feel, maybe not everyone, of course not, but like I think if you get the crowd involvement, it becomes, there's no bridge between you. You're all there in one room on the same page.
Well, performers feed off of the energy of the audience.
Exactly. So,
and that's why people are dancing or singing. You think, oh my goodness, I'm doing something right.
yeah. And it's a bit like I work in sales kind of thing. It's kind of the same thing in a way. I have like a bit of a formula now that helps me bridge that gap and makes everyone kind of just be like, there's no wall here. We're all just gonna have fun and for the next 30 minutes and do it.
Well, we only have a few minutes left, so I'm going to say thank you. Thank you very much for speaking with me.
Thank you so much.
And I hope you come to Florida and let me know when you do come.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would love to come to Tampa as well. So
yeah, you should get some gigs around Tampa or St. Pete. There's a lot of kind of open bars, that play acoustic music. I think I love acoustic.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll definitely do that, and I'll make sure to give you a holler.
All right. So thank you very much. Here is Jacob Giaimo with Before Long.
To make it red, couldn't speak my mind because I didn't like to shake things up. And before long, I couldn't say that I loved you. Before long, it wasn't meant to be, and I was left with this regret that I couldn't shake. Before long, I couldn't keep my hands off you.
You're listening to Rock at Night.
The introductory song, Get On Down, is from blues artist Billy Bass Alford. Look for his music at ReverbNation.com.